All right. So, official welcome, everyone. My name is Tara Foster, and I am so excited to be on this call with you all today. This is our open house for Terra.do's Climate Change Learning for Action program. This is our 12-week flagship program, of which I'm the course director, and I have the joy of being an instructor as well. And I'm also a previous fellow. So I'm also an alumni. For today's format, I'll go through the slide deck for about 15 minutes, and then we have two alumni with us, other than myself, Juan and Nidada, and they'll be sharing with you briefly about their experience and kind of what their main takeaways from the 12-week fellowship were. Then I'll move back to my slide deck just for a few minutes, and then we'll open it up to question and answer where I or either the two alumni that are on the call with us can answer any of your questions. So we're going to do slide deck, hear from alumni, slide deck, question and answer. And so that is the format for today. Again, this is a very casual and joyous space. So I encourage you to turn on your camera if it is off. If you're used to virtual spaces, it's always so much more fun and delightful as the presenter, and I also think as the person listening, to see faces instead of the Zoom void, right? So if you're in a place to turn on your camera, I really encourage you to do so. And pets on your lap, I have one. If they make an appearance, pets are welcome. Children on your lap, welcome. So again, everyone's welcome to the space. So I'll begin just briefly by stating what I believe Terra.do is. And I do have a bias, right? Because I'm a alumni and then an instructor and now the course director, but I truly believe we are the climate educator. We are the climate community, and we are honestly the climate pathfinding experience for the world. Um, and again, I think that you see evidence of that for the world just in our chat section. So if you've just joined, please do share where you're tuning in from. But we are truly this amazing, diverse global community. It's truly, if I think about all the communities I've been a part of, my favorite community and most supportive community I've been a part of my entire life, which truly says a lot. Terra.do, as an organization, we have a mission. We want to get 100 million people to work directly on solving climate change by 2030. And 2030 is coming up. Can you believe it? Um, and work, we've really expanded upon how we define that. And I'm going to talk to that more in a few slides, but it's not only professional. There's your hint. So, Learning for Action, this is our flagship program. I mentioned this. This is what you all are learning about today. So, we call Learning for Action LFA for short. So, if you ever hear me or anyone else say LFA, that's what we're referring to, our 12-week fellowship. And that's what you're learning about today. We have had 36 cohorts of this 12-week program. We have had over 90 countries represented by our fellows, and we have had over 5,000 graduates. So it is truly an amazing community, and they are very engaged. Fellows and graduates remained engaged even after graduation. So, briefly, there are parts of this 12-week interdisciplinary climate action accelerator or this 12-week fellowship that are asynchronous, meaning you'll do these things on your own time. So, we have class modules online. I call this like the textbook for the fellowship, and you'll access that textbook from your computer. Or your cell phone, and you'll go through those classes at your own pace. That's what asynchronous means. And it truly paints a holistic picture of climate change, which we'll speak to in a coming slide. But you'll cover all sorts of really interesting, amazing topics. And then there's interactive or synchronous components. There's lots of them. There's lots of them to choose from. So the most important one is weekly you'll have a lab group. So let's say there's 100 to 200 fellows in the entire cohort, right? Well, every week you're going to meet with a smaller group of those fellows on Tuesdays. And after you send in your application and after you accept, you'll receive a lab time preference sheet where you'll let us know what time you would prefer to attend lab. But every Tuesday, you'll attend lab for 90 minutes and you'll meet with a smaller group of fellows and you'll really pull together and integrate and collaborate on all the learnings that you've had on the past week. So that's one of the weekly live or synchronous components of the course is your lab. And on top of that, we host socials, we have expert guest talks, we have uh, coffee chats, and just all sorts of offerings. Again, I'll dig in more as time goes on. A lot of people wonder how much time do you need to really reap the benefits of this course? You need at least 6 to 10 hours per week. If you don't have 6 to 10 hours per week, my concern is again that you're just not going to be able to be fully integrated into the community and reap all of the benefits of the course. So really think about your schedule and think about, do you have at least that 6 to 10? When I was going through the program, I wasn't working, and so there was enough optional material, like optional different rabbit holes that I could go down as far as course material. I spent like 15 to 20 hours per week. So it's truly it accommodates a wide variety of individuals and how much time they're wanting to give to the program. I will share that most of our fellows either work full-time jobs or full-time caregivers. They have full-time obligations outside of LFA, and they still find it a lovely, wonderful experience that they're able to fully engage in. So don't let that be too intimidating. And then another really cool part is that you have lifetime access. So you will always have access to that course textbook or the course modules, all of that course material. You'll be able to go back and reference. We certainly expect you to learn a lot in your 12 weeks with us, but it would be a lot to ask for you to remember every single piece of information. And so we like to make sure that you have lifetime access to the course. So if you're having a conversation and you need to go back and refer to something, you can. So again, our mission, we want 100 million people working on climate change solutions very soon, right? And we think that people will be able to do this, to work on climate, whether that's professionally, whether that's in your community, as an activist, whether that's in your home, right? We think that you'll be able to do this by learning, right? So we offer LFA, we offer other shorter courses as well to provide an understanding of climate solutions, right, through various lenses. We think in order to work on climate, you need to connect. You need a vibrant community. You need to attend events. You need to be surrounded by others that are working to solve the same problem that you are, right? And have similar visions. And of course, you need to do. We are Terra.do for a reason. We place a lot of emphasis on action, right? So we support our learners to find their role, to find their place within the climate movement by doing. And so LFA is a transformative journey that accelerates this doing. It accelerates climate action. And we think that you need some foundational things, like I mentioned in the previous slide, to take those climate actions, right? To work on climate. So again, I spoke to learning or knowledge. And so we think that you need some basic climate literacy skills. Wouldn't you all agree, right? We need to ensure that you acquire this foundational climate knowledge. We work very hard to ensure that our fellows understand connections between global and local applications. And we focus a lot, and we'll talk about this a lot within the course, on systems thinking and multi-solving, thinking about justice impacts, right? There's a lot of literacy that happens within the fellowship. And then I spoke in the previous slide to connection. Community is integral. It is an integral part to LFA, and hopefully our alumni that you hear from shortly will agree with me on this. But our goal is for you to really build trust and belonging in what is truly a global, multi-sector, multi-purpose community. Everyone comes into LFA with a different intention and with a different goal in mind, and that's one of the things that makes it so amazing, right? And we hope that you practice in engaging what I call, there's a lot of C's here, but they're critical, courageous, complex climate conversations. You'll have a lot of practice doing that within the fellowship. One of the comments often when they're after the 12 weeks is over, they feel so much more confident just talking about climate with people around them. And then the doing, right? So this is kind of that pathfinding that I mentioned in the first slide. We really intend to help you find where your skills, what you're good at, right? What you enjoy doing and what the world needs doing, where those all intersect through this pathfinding component. And so by the time you leave the 12 weeks, you actually leave with a climate action plan so that after the 12-week journey is over, you have something, a structured, it's an assignment 5, a structured assignment or a structured climate action plan that you can look back on and continue to make progress and move forward on your journey. Now, this is that holistic journey that I spoke to earlier. This is something that LFA does extremely well. And there are other fellowships within the climate space that are wonderful. And I honestly view them as complementary to LFA. I oftentimes get questioned about, well, tell me about this fellowship versus LFA. And my answer is they're complementary. But something that we do uniquely well, and that other fellowships do not. Many fellowships start at the beginning of the roller coaster, right? And they cover like the natural system. So they cover climate science, and you talk about what are emissions, and they talk about impacts. They skip the middle part of the roller coaster and they jump right into solutions. Solutions are very important, right? But here at LFA, we spend a lot of time digging into human systems because if we don't understand the mental models that people in the world and people with power, how they're viewing climate change and how they're viewing solutions, right? How they think, if we don't understand that, if we don't understand the frameworks that all of us are living under, whether that's a justice framework or a political framework or an economic framework, if we don't understand how to communicate effectively, all of those solutions that we jump into at the top part of the roller coaster, we're not going to be able to integrate those solutions as transformatively or with as much impact as we could if we spent a really good chunk of time learning about human systems, right? Because climate change right now it's a human problem, right? It's anthropogenically driven. And so really spending time to understand human systems before we start talking about all of the amazing solutions that are available to us. And so that's something that as a fellow and as an instructor and now as the course director, I really, really value about LFA, and fellows do as well. It's quite interesting, and it allows you, again, when you're thinking about solutions, to really think about, is the solution scalable? Is this solution feasible, right, within this local or geographical context, et cetera? And so again, you get this amazing holistic picture of climate change and climate change solutions on your 12-week journey. Now, I want to acknowledge that a lot of you are probably entering this space feeling anxious, feeling angry, feeling fearful, feeling a lot of hard to sit with emotions. And this is an encouraging slide. This is not AI created. This is real. This is real. So during our welcome session, we ask fellows, how are you feeling at the very beginning of the 12-week journey? And those very difficult to sit with emotions often pop up. This is a screenshot of a poll that we took at the end of, at the graduation ceremony of a recent fellowship. And these were honestly the words that popped up. Again, no AI used here. So at the end of the 12 weeks, you see hopeful, motivated, determined, ready to go, energized, excited, eager to learn more. In 12 weeks, we're not going to cover everything. We do a really great job, but eager to learn more, inspired, more clear, right? Motivated with the right amount of gloom, which is interesting, but they're motivated, right? So I encourage you, this is also a space where we focus a lot on mindfulness. We recognize that there's a lot of eco-anxiety. One of our expert instructors, Nikita, is actually an eco-psychologist, and she offers all sorts of mindfulness sessions and wellness sessions to ensure that we are taking care of ourselves in what can be a very heavy topic. And I just like to encourage people that are thinking about beginning this journey, that others leave this journey feeling motivated and hopeful and eager and determined, etc. And I would say that all of our graduates are climate leaders, regardless of what they do. And I am not going to read through each of these bullet points. But many of our fellows get great jobs. Many of our fellows begin to make change in their current workplace. They use art, right, to create change. They communicate effectively to politicians. They lead movements. They make changes within their spheres of influence, their friends and family. They are all climate leaders and they all do different things. It's so cool to see the various paths that our graduates take. And so I made this little slide just recently. I was like, how can I demonstrate this, the diversity of things that our fellows go on to do? So this is a fellow that now has a card game that's out for pre-order. How cool is that? So they're helping others learn about climate change through creating a card game. I thought that was so cool. I just had a fellow, this just went live for her. She created a low waste birthday party kit that's like rentable in her within her community because there's a lot of waste associated with kids' birthday parties. So cool. Somebody just recently published a book on our Slack, on our community that you'll see is very, very active. Someone shared they just recently published a book called Radically Reframing Climate Change. It is on sale now. I took a snippet of it. Uh, Others have podcasts, right? So this fellow had a podcast, went through LFA, now has a really informed, amazing, educated podcast. Some people create their own initiatives and go on to create their own organizations or nonprofits. Um, this is a really cool one. Someone does sustainable downsizing and decluttering. Thought that was an interesting, cool service. And then others build their own eco homes. And this person has their eco home and they attend a yoga studio where they created a group that gets together and takes climate action as a community. So lots of different things, right? And before I speak to our job seekers, this is the portion where I would love to open it up to our two alumni to briefly share, how their LFA experience was and what their kind of main takeaways were from the LFA experience. And then again, I'll move back to my slide deck after we hear from both, and then I'll open it up for question and answer. So, Juan, do you mind sharing first? I don't see you on my screen, but I know you're on the call.
Yes, yes, yes. I was having issues with my camera. I had to go out and in, but can you hear me now? I hope it's working.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Juan Felipe Sewanes. I'm originally from Colombia, but I've been living in Germany for almost 15 years. I'm a biologist. That's my profession, and yeah, I was very happy to study biology in Colombia, but then I was very interested in a short background about me, and then I'll jump to LFA. Um, yeah, so I came to Germany because I wanted really I had a strong connection, and there were labs doing really cool research in neuroscience, which is the field that I decided to specialize, particularly the aspects on communication. I ended up doing a PhD in bat or in how bats communicate. I mean, they communicate with themselves using echolocation, but that's also a kind of communication, right? Yeah, and then I was at a crossroads because I found myself not liking or not I did not want to pursue the academic career, and then took a job in industry as a um, Uh, as a what? As a computer scientist and data analyst, and yeah, it was paying the rent. I was, yeah, like okay, but then where was the biologist in me? What happened to him? And then I decided to quit my job and search for like recalibrate my moral compass again. And that's the setting where I found about the LFA, about Terra's.do, this Learning for Action program. It was recommended by me by some friend of a friend. He told me, man, just do it. It's exactly what you're looking for to recalibrate your moral compass. And I saw the reviews and I read through. I do not remember if I attended one of these open house events, but in any case, I decided to join it. And I mean, how was it for me, or what are my main takeaways? I mean, I can tell you for the one part, if you're here for strong, I mean, it's a course, right? If you're here after material, like good material for learning, I can tell you in my academic experience, this must be top one, yes, learning experience that I've had because of how it's structured. Like you not only get to digest content um, as much as you want, basically, because besides the mandatory things, as Tara was telling you, there are a lot of optional modules that you can literally dive into multiple rabbit holes in. And I personally enjoy this a lot. This is not for everybody. I had the time because same as Tara, I was also I mean, looking for jobs, and I had like the flexibility to really use that time. But this course is also and mainly structured for people that also are working alongside while you take it. And the second main takeaway, so I mean that is one, but actually much more important and what really sticks to me. Well, there are several things, but you get access to a really beautiful community. It's so, or for me, having this experience and learning together with people around the world and learning their perspectives was so enriching for me. And I still keep contact with them, and I'm still active, not as much as during the LFA, but still active in the community, in the Slack channel. I'm always reading posts and finding cool things. I'm learning now about the this what you're seeing in the screen. This I didn't know, but there are others that have been following in the channel, and that is just so amazing to to be with people that I don't know. I totally resonated with. Like I want to make an impact, a positive impact, have like a good handprint, not just a footprint on the planet, but doing something for the better good or for what I calibrated for myself to be a positive impact. Mine was or is in the aspect of biodiversity or increasing biodiversity. And I totally resonated with a lot of people, but also learned a lot about different perspectives, right? Because yes, I am a little bit multicultural in a way that I'm from Colombia. I live in Germany. I'm married to a Hungarian wife, and I have friends from all over the world. But still, I had never known about what are the problems that, for example, India is facing regarding climate change. And I had several, we had several participants from India in our cohort and in the lab meeting, and it was so nice to hear their perspective and how they're approaching the thing. So this holistic picture of the course, I can tell you that I mean, for me, it is a very holistic picture what you get after these 12 weeks. So I think those are my main takeaways. There are many more, but I do not want to take the whole stage. So I want you to make the questions that you want and or hand over to Ninada. I do not know, Tara. Maybe I give it back to you first, but yeah, those are just the things that I wanted to mention briefly.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm Ninada. I'm joining in from California. I'm originally from India. I lived there for most of my life and I moved to the United States to do my master's. I'm a senior product manager in the battery energy storage system space, so I work in renewable energy field. Happy to chat about it separately if anyone's interested. Ping me on LinkedIn. Um, LFA. So, most of 2023 and most of 2024, I had a lot of climate anxiety. I was working in the renewable space. I was trying to do some things outside of work, but it just didn't feel enough. I felt like I couldn't explain how I was feeling to like my friends and family. I didn't feel like they got the weight of climate change. I basically didn't know how to communicate on what I was feeling. And that's when I kind of started researching on the courses that I can take, and LFA popped up as one of the more prominent courses. Um, I went back and forth, but I decided to enroll, and that was one of the best decisions I made. I was also taking a break from work, so I also had the time to kind of invest and deep dive. But the coursework is so good. Like the quality of the coursework and the quality of the lectures and the experts in this field who actually come and present. There are some deep dive sessions that you have with Anders. It's like so eye-opening. There were, I think, a couple of just like honest, in your face facts. That's what the first few weeks are. It was so eye-opening. And it's amazing. I have lifetime access. I've gone back a few times. I want to kind of go back again to refer some of those concepts. It's really kind of top class, unique content for sure. And just like Juan mentioned, the second takeaway for me is also the community. I would say I feel like socializing is hard, maybe for the introverts out there, especially, and when you're remote. But I would really encourage you all, if you decide to take this course, to prioritize it from the beginning because it kind of really helps. And that's the thing that helped me also with climate anxiety, right? Like this feeling that there are other people who think like me, there are other people who are kind of who want to make a positive change. And going back to what Juan mentioned about the international community as well, like I learned about the challenges in Africa, which is like so different from India or from the US. And I had a fellow who was from Peru, and like she was talking about water issues there, which was like so eye-opening. So there are these conversations you get to have, which is not as easily accessible when you are in one specific country going about your day to day, and that's kind of really amazing. We have a WhatsApp group within our kind of cohort, and we are trying to meet like every few months just to check in and see how our climate action plan is going, which is really nice. So yeah, I encourage you all to prioritize um, the community if you can from the beginning of the course. Um, yeah, similar takeaways, but I'll stop here and happy to answer any questions later.
Thank you both for sharing. Thank you so much. I and as a graduate of the program myself, I echo all the things that they shared. And I also want to share too, similar to Juan, I did not have like a traditional climate background. So I want to encourage those of you that are on the call, like if you don't have a bachelor's in environmental science, or if you don't, it's like totally fine. My bachelor's degree is in exercise science, and then I got my master's, my graduate degree in biology, and I studied fish, and now I work in climate change. So, so I encourage all of the non-traditional, I'll put that in quotes, non-traditional individuals that are wanting to really make a difference within the climate space, like you can do it. You can do it. Not that it doesn't take effort, right? Not that it doesn't take making networking and connections and things like that, but you can do it and you are definitely welcome here. We need people from such diverse backgrounds. We need people from non-traditional backgrounds coming into the climate action space because you provide really, really valuable insight and valuable perspective. So, and then go back to my slide deck real quick. Hopefully, I'll breeze through these next slides, and then I'll open it up for questions and answers, as I'm sure you all have some, but maybe I'll answer them in the coming slides as well. So I do like to speak to those of you that are on the call that are job seekers, right? We do have a number of individuals that come into LFA wanting a climate job. It's going to kind of be no surprise to you, but to get a climate job, we believe that you need climate literacy. These are going to sound very familiar, right, to what we do in LFA. You need to understand the problem and you need to understand the solutions, right? So when you're in your interview, you can talk intelligently about it. You need a community. You need a network that you can tap into and join, right? So that's, remember that second pillar. And then here's the pathfinding or the doing pillar as well. You need to understand your skills, your interests and passions, and how you uniquely can solve an organization's problem for them, right? So when you're applying for a job or when you're writing a cover letter, I'll go ahead and just give this advice. Think about what problem you are solving for them and explicitly state that in your cover letter. And LFA will help you do that. Um, and then everything else that you need for any other job, right? You need a resume and a cover letter, etc. So we believe that we're providing you with the foundation that you need to be an informed job seeker, right? We believe that are providing you with the community and the networking that you can tap into, right? To connect and to learn and just to have informal, informative conversations with people because you never know. You might have a conversation that's working in the industry that you're interested in. Let's say it's, clean or renewable energy, and maybe there's not a role for you currently that they know of, but you meet with them virtually and you get on a one-on-one, and then 3 months down the road, they go, "Oh, I remember Sam. Sam talked with me a few months ago. Yep, Sam, I saw you know. I just saw Sam. Hey, I just saw you on my screen." So you just never know. So there are also within LFA, we have climate careers coaches that come in and do office hour sessions. We have a LinkedIn masterclass. We have a class on tailoring your resume that's a live session. So plenty of workshops. There's also asynchronous learning material that you can optionally go through. Because remember, not everyone's here to get a job. But if you are, we do try and provide you with what we believe are useful sessions and useful asynchronous materials for you to go through. And this is what I just spoke to, right? So some of the live career networking sessions that we offer, and then again, asynchronous offerings as well. And then this is just kind of some interesting data, excuse me, that we gathered between 2020 and 2023. So I won't read to all of this, but half of LFA graduates at the time of our analysis were working in full-time climate roles. We see the transition rates among job seekers to be 30% at 6 months after graduation and 65% after 18 months. So, what this data tells me is that it's not instantaneous. Now, I have literally had a fellow who was in my lab group. They worked as a server at a restaurant, and at the time that they were going through LFA, and they attended some virtual social or something and made a connection with someone working in renewable energy, and they now work in sales in solar, I believe. So sometimes it does happen like that. But what this data tells me is that oftentimes it does take time, right? 6 months to 18 months. But 30 and 65%, I think those are pretty solid numbers, right? Also, LFA trains leaders. So 25% of career transitions were individuals who were either founders of their own organization or they landed senior level leadership role at a larger organization. So not everyone is entry level. We have a lot of mid-career and late stage career individuals, later stage. And then we have great network effects. So 70 organizations have hired more than one Terra.do fellow, and 7 have hired 4 or more. So it's a really great network to tap into. So there's some numbers for you because people are sometimes always asking, about numbers. So here's some data for our analytical minded individuals. These are, again, just an example. They launch into diverse climate roles around the globe. So again, will not read through all of these. You can see program manager, you can see global director of business continuity, strategic partner manager, software engineer, all sorts of different positions that they transition into the climate space. So you move from a program manager to a community and climate resilience. You go from software engineer to a tech lead, right, at a climate organization. I will share this link with you. So we have this Notion page that have stories from our alumni, and I'll do that right now in the chat so that you can dig into these. So here's the link in the chat. So if you want to open that up on your end, you can read through all of these different alumni stories, what sector they're working in, and how LFA helped them. So do feel free to scroll through that. Again, it does speak to the diversity represented here in our amazing community. Now, this I'm going to take a little bit of time on because I think it's important to know what is a week going to look like for you if you join this amazing fellowship, if I do say so myself. So we've spoken, all three of us have spoken a little bit to what a week in the life looks like, but I want to start you on Monday, right? Well, actually, I'm going to start you on Sunday. So on Sunday, we release a course module from the textbook, right? So on Sunday, we release classes. You go through those at your own time. And that's kind of that learning asynchronously component. Now, Monday rolls around. Monday, this is when we'll have optional offerings. So some of you may be here looking for a course certificate, meaning you want to share on LinkedIn that you have successfully graduated from the LFA fellowship and you want that certificate of course completion. Okay, so there's optional parts of the fellowship, and then there are required components of the fellowship. Monday is optional stuff. So this is typically when we'll have those career sessions if you're a career-minded individual, other type of informal socials, things like that. Tuesday, this is your lab. I spoke to that earlier. For 90 minutes, you'll meet every Tuesday with a group of 20 to 30 fellows where you'll integrate all of the learnings, right, that you've been going through. That is required. So when you apply and when you make your payment and when you get that lab preference sheet, be sure and really think about what time you can commit every Tuesday to attending that lab because that is required for a successful course completion. Wednesday is also required. This is when we have an expert guest talk, right? Again, the topic varies, the expert varies, but they're really, really cool. They're super informative. These are required as well. Now, the good thing about the Wednesday requirement is that recordings count equally. So Tuesday, we really need you to attend your lab live. Wednesday, you can watch the recording and not attend that live, and that counts just as much as attending live. So Wednesday, just know you can watch the recording and that counts for meeting the requirement. Thursday, we move back to optional stuff. This is when we have deep dive labs. So, for example, I lead the communications deep dive. So, if you want to go deeper into a certain subject, deep dives are for you. We have them on finance, we have them on climate science, communications, tons of subjects, right? But they're optional and you can always watch the recording. Most everything is recorded, right? So, you can catch up with recordings. And then Friday, we have a really cool session called Cohort Connection Sessions. This is where you can work with fellows outside of your lab group. So there's 100 to 200 fellows in the cohort. And it's cool to get in a similar space as them and work on pathfinding together or work on assignments together, etc. And so that's another optional, but really, really fun offering. And then kind of the bottom wave throughout the week, you'll be working on assignments. There's 5 assignments throughout the 12 weeks. You're going to be keeping up with that online textbook. You're going to be engaging with the community, right? So that's kind of that continuous wave that happens. And then speaking of assignments, like I said, there are 5 that are required. 4 of them are solo assignments, 4 of them are individual, and 1 is a team assignment. And that was my very favorite one. And it typically is for most people. And the pace is about every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, there's an assignment released. And we recognize that everyone has a different amount of time that they can commit to the assignments. And your instructor will grant a lot of grace, and they will know as long as you're giving your sincere effort and giving your very best, they'll understand that some fellow may have a really intricate multi-page assignment, and another fellow may have a really amazing, well-written paragraph, and that's perfectly fine. The team assignment is really cool because it does really help you connect with people from around the world and learn about their local climate context, and you explore solutions together. It's really cool. And then the individual assignments are all really designed to build on each other. So it's really important that you do keep up with them to really help you find your role, right, in taking action within climate change solutions. And so with that, I encourage you, apply. What's today? Today the 13th? Yes, today's the 13th. So the application deadline is tomorrow. Please apply. I would love to see you. We have a 3-week no question asked refunds. I don't get paid commissions. This is not a sales pitch. Okay. I'm not going to get paid any money for, oh, I had 28 people on the call and somebody, no, 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 no. I just honestly believe that you'll love it. If you don't, if by week 3 you say it's not for me, there's no questions asked and you get a refund, right? So the application deadline is tomorrow. We begin on April 20th when I'll be leading the welcome sessions. You can pay in installments. I did. You can also ask for scholarship, right? So, or financial assistance. So when I applied, full transparency, I could not afford the full price. I told them that I could pay about 50% of the price of what it was. And I think I got pretty darn close. I think I paid just over what I asked. So we try to be very generous. So if you want to be here, we want you here, right? And we will do everything we can to ensure that. So when you apply, just be honest and say, listen, I can afford X amount, and we'll do our very best to work with that. Also, I believe Juan and Nidada, you have 20% off links, don't you? That you can share in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you just automatically want 20% off, they will share those in the chat. I have one too. I can pull it up and share it in the chat as well if they don't share theirs. So that gives you 20% off. And you can also continue. You can ask for financial assistance on top of that if needed. We honestly just want to grow this community. We want people working and taking action. When you can pay full price, it's great because that, allows us to bring more people into the fold and be more generous with financial assistance when people that can pay full price do pay full price, right? But if you can't and you really want to be a part of this, we want you here. We want you here. So just be honest in your application, apply. We would love to have you. So with that, um, I am happy to answer any questions. You can also ask questions of our alumni with the remaining 15 minutes that we have left. To ask a question, what you'll do is you'll use the raise your hand function. So if you look at your Zoom bar at the bottom of your screen, there's this button that says reactions. And if you click on reactions, there's a raise your hand function. And so if you raise your hand, I'll be able to call on you. If you can't find that, just feel free to type it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask away.
Uh,
Sam.
Hey there. Thanks so much for everything and super clear. Appreciate it. I just have a question around like applications,
Sure.
and it looks like it's not that long of an application to fill
No,
out. Is that okay?
no.
And then acceptance rate, just out of curiosity, like what does that look like?
That's a good question. Honestly, the only people that I have seen ever turned away has been like when it's obviously like an AI chat bot or you know what I mean? Like we want
Yeah.
everyone here. In my time, I've been here for 3 years. I have never seen someone turned away. Now,
Okay.
I don't want that to make it sound like we're not a prestigious organization and a prestigious, certification to hold,
Sure.
but we are very much inclusive. And again, we want the diverse background. So as long as we read through an application and it's a sincere effort and we can tell that you're really wanting to take action, I've never seen someone be turned away. Now, if someone puts in zero effort and or obviously like a chat bot or something like that, that person may not be the best fit. But if you want to be here, we want you here. And that comes through on the application.
Okay. Awesome.
Does that,
Thank you
does
so
that
much.
answer your
Yeah,
question?
totally.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Zoe?
Hi, thanks so much for that presentation. I also dropped this question in the chat.
Oh,
So really helpful to learn about what's involved.
yeah.
And for my situation, I think maybe it'd be more appropriate for me to do one of the lighter courses.
Mhm.
So I had a question about one of them, whether they'd be reopened. It seemed like it covers some similar topics, obviously not as in depth. The carbon
Mhm.
dioxide removal, capture, and geoengineering course.
Hmm.
Wondering if that's going to be reopened or if we could suggest a different course at Terra.do. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. That's a great question that unfortunately I cannot answer. I am not sure. Our short courses are taught by, I think some of them are asynchronous, and then some of them are taught by other leaders. And so it depends on like their schedule and when
Mm,
they'll be opening the course. But like you said, yeah, if you are really wanting to be like hyper focused in one certain area, and then that, might be the better solution for you. Again, I see everything as very complementary. So I see in an ideal world, right? Going through LFA first and kind of really building that foundation and then hyper focusing, for me that resonates very well. But if you already have a lot of the background on the natural systems and the human systems, and you're just really wanting to dig into one specific area of solutions, that would be a great option. But yeah, I cannot unfortunately speak to when a certain short course will be opened or not. Just kind of have to keep rechecking the website, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry I couldn't give you a more satisfying answer. Oh, Tom applied this morning and got accepted a few hours after. So, Sam, it's quick. Yeah, nice. And thank you both. It looks like the referral links are in there. If you want 20% off, you can just click those and get the 20% off. Thanks both for sharing those. Any other comments, questions? It can even be about, the logistics of the course, anything else.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, this is Prav. Actually, I'm already part of the course and I would be traveling on one of the Tuesdays. So, is there a possibility to like select one specific live lab session so that I don't skip on any of them?
Yes. So if you've been accepted to the fellowship, you should very soon receive that lab time preference
Mm.
sheet where you can select what lab time works best for you on Tuesdays. However, this also brings up a really great point. If you have to miss a couple labs, just let your instructor know. Like we understand like life happens, people travel for work, people travel for family. If you need to catch up with the recording of a couple labs, instructors typically grant a lot of grace in that, and we're very understanding and we work with our fellows. So don't let that discourage you. If you know that, oh my gosh, I know I'm going to miss two of the 12 labs, it's okay. It's okay. But yes, you should get that lab preference sheet very soon.
All right, that's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, I believe is it Apurva? You are next.
Yes. Thank you, Tara, for such an amazing presentation. I just had a very simple question on what the assignments could look like.
Yeah, sure. So assignment one is a visioning assignment. And so we ask you in assignment one to kind of put on your creative thinking hat and think about it's 2040, right? And you're looking back and you're talking to what does the world look like in 2040, considering climate change has been quote unquote solved, right? So what does the solution look like to you and what was your role in it? Fellows sometimes submit these big, long creative writing assignments. Other fellows, like I mentioned, submit a paragraph. Some fellows submit a video of them kind of talking through it. So that's assignment one. Assignment two is the team assignment. So this is where you're really looking into your local context and how is climate change communicated and talked about or not, right? If you're like me and you're living in the US, there are many places that don't talk about climate change. It's quite taboo. So you talk about that, you talk about climate impacts, and you're in a global group. Your instructor will intentionally put you in a group with fellows from different parts of the world. So you work together on talking about, what would make climate change conversations more comfortable, etc. Assignment three is where you pick a track. So those of you that are here for a job, for example, for assignment three, you will be typing up a cover letter and you'll be submitting a cover letter and you'll be receiving feedback on a cover letter. The other tracks are like, I'm here to learn, I'm here to create, I'm here to lead. And so depending on what track you pick, the prompts are different for the assignment. Assignment four is a favorite one of fellows. It's where you get to research what you're really interested in. So you pick a certain solutions area or area of research within climate, and in lab 10, you actually present your findings. So super cool. I picked mangrove restoration and presented on that when I was a fellow. And then I mentioned assignment five, your last assignment, that is a personal climate action plan. And that's just something that we ask you to turn in and create so that you have something after the structured 12 weeks to kind of keep that momentum going, to keep you acting and moving towards whatever goals you have within the climate space. So in a nutshell, those are the 5 assignments.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, yeah. Is it Tomas? Is it Tom?
Tom is fine. Thank you, Tara. Um, Thank you so much for the presentation, and also to thanks Ninada and Juan. I am, I guess, a relatively late stage of my career. I've worked in corporate and tech, and I'm now thinking of pivoting into climate.
Mhm.
I would love to take a course to deepen my knowledge in
Mhm.
this space, um, build a network,
Mhm.
and find how I can apply some of my experience in this new context, right? And so
Mhm.
I'm toying between, quite honestly, up until this morning, I was looking at a couple of courses offered by universities here in Dublin.
Mhm.
Um, I remember Terra.do. I was on the email list and I got, I saw it this morning. I thought, oh my God, this looks great. I'm struggling to evaluate, and I know you mentioned before it's not like, one versus the other.
Mhm.
Um, but because it's an investment of time, I'm
Mhm.
trying to decide which direction to go down. And so
Mhm.
my question is fairly kind of open-ended, but how would you decide what course you want to do for somebody, again, like in my kind of context?
That's a really hard question to answer. I feel like, and I will give you my answer in just a moment, but do either one of our alumni want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can take that one. So when I was going, when I was thinking about deciding to take Terra.do, I had a similar confusion, but I was looking at the climate base fellowship and the Terra.do fellowship, and those were the two I was trying to compare. Um, and for me, what what kind of won over Terra is really kind of the international appeal of it, and having so many kind of international voice of people from different parts of the world was the thing that kind of tipped me over in favor of Terra.do. Um, and I think after having taken the course, I don't know climate base, like I haven't taken that course, so I cannot speak for it. But after having taken the course, I think the foundation that I gained of all the different aspects within like climate change and taking climate action has been like super helpful for me to then take that and decide what to do next. So I don't know what university courses you're evaluating, how narrow they are, but LFA gives you this broad spectrum of uh, everything that is in climate, because it's a really broad space, right? Everything that's in climate change, climate action and climate change and climate science. And then I felt like it gave me the clear picture to then deep dive into energy or like anything that you're interested in. So that was kind of my
Thank
decision.
you. Yeah, super helpful. Thank you, Nina.
Yeah. And I would also say there's that 3 week money back guarantee. You know what I mean? So just in practicality, like sign up, join, start seeing what the community is like, what your lab is like, get the feel for the course. And if within the 3 weeks you decide it's not for you, just let us know. I mean, we're very friendly, very open. Like 3 week, honestly, we won't, give you a hard time about it. And I agree with what was shared there. It's such a great foundation builder. And I've also heard, not to brag, but I guess it kind of is a brag, that LFA is like a master's program, like condensed into 12 weeks. So honestly, the amount of information that you could dig into, like it could be a full-time job. You could spend 40 hours a week digging into the extra resources and links, and if you wanted to hyper focus in a certain area, like learning specifically about that, you can really kind of take it and make it what it needs to be for you, if that makes sense. So but yeah, it's a really personal decision. It's one that no one can answer for you, but I would encourage you to try it out because most people really love it.
Thank you, Tara.
Uh,
Juan, what did you want to share?
yeah, perhaps if I may like add to something like also regarding transitions, I just want to highlight something that was already said, but it's the holistic approach of this course is what I really like, or I really liked. And yeah, so unfortunately, so also already left us, but if you want to learn about carbon dioxide removal, capture, and geoengineering, that's fine. But also understanding what are the so for me, my background is in biology in academy, right? I also had an experience in industry, but I never focused on economics. I never focused on politics, and learning how these are very important things to understand for carbon dioxide removal, capture, and geoengineering, like when this clicked in after the 12 weeks, and also by having follow-up conversations with people in the course, this really helped me to integrate a lot. Also, for transitioning, I think it's really important to, what did it for me and to get a job was expanding my network a lot. This community is a very good place to start because people are constantly sharing, hey, for those in Europe, check out this climate week in Berlin or the climate blah blah in Paris, and you get all of this input. And I I grew then a lot my network thanks to this. And in an age where AI is taking over the content in the internet, it's nice to have networks of humans. And this is a place where I found this, and I still find a lot of value for it. Just my 2 cents on that. I hope that helps you, Tommaso, with this.
Thank you, Juan. That brings up a really good point. It's really interesting when we dig into solutions. We talk about how solutions can either exist within our current systems, our current economic systems, our current political systems, our current justice systems, or they can kind of butt up against them, right? So it's very interesting conversations that are had. And Juan, that's an excellent point to make, that before we start applying all of these solutions, we really need to understand the different systems that we're existing within. Yeah. And I really appreciate that you love the community. And you've been a wonderful, active participant. Both of you have been, both of our alums. Anything else before we jump off of this call together? I really hope to see you all. Gosh, next Monday, I guess. Next Monday will be the welcome session. And I hope to see your application come through. But anything else in our final minute here?
Maybe something, if I may add,
Sure.
this for the I also joined with a lot of climate anxiety in this course, and this course also has you covered with that. You mentioned it on a sideline, Tara, but Nikita, like it's a member that she focuses on this, and there are several sessions targeted exactly around this, and it was so nice to share a space, although virtually, with people that have the same feeling and being able to talk about it, being able to sometimes cry about it, being able to, yeah, that helped me also particularly a lot. So Ninada, you mentioned that you also had this. For me, it was exactly the same. It it was finally finding a place where I can talk about this and do something with this anxiety, not just let it take over my life. Yeah.
Thank you, Juan. Well, thank you both, Nadada. Thank you, Juan. Our graduates, our wonderful graduates that volunteered their time to spend with us today. Thank you so much. So proud also of all of the amazing climate action that you're taking, having gone through the program. Thank you all for joining this open house. If you have any questions, you can send me an email. So you can either email, here, I'll share it in the chat. So LFA at Terra.do. That will get you like me and our course manager and a few other people. If you specifically want to email me, it's super easy. It's Terra at Terra.do. Just Terra spelled two different ways. So you can send me an email. But again, I see the applications as they come through. So I'm kind of scrolling through and I'm seeing, okay, Apurva and Dennis and Titi and Udi and Melissa and Aruna and Ken Shahino. Like I'm seeing all these names. I'm like taking notes. So I hope to see your application come through. I'm so happy that you spent time with us today. If you have questions, you can always send me an email. But again, just apply. 3 weeks, no question asked refunds. I can almost 100% guarantee, I know nothing in life is guaranteed, but that you will love the community. and that we will have a good time together in this next cohort. And so with that, I will stop the recording, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for spending an hour with me learning about LFA.